Good morning. How are you? I hope you're starting out this week on a good footing, if you will. I hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. Um, I'm just going to upfront apologize for my appearance and my fogginess of brain. It's early Tuesday morning, and I woke up with this topic on my mind and really felt that I needed to come on here and speak on it for some reason. So, this is what you get. I haven't washed up or anything. I'll probably lay back down to sleep for a little while afterwards before I get up and do my meditation and start the day. But in any case, I felt compelled to come on here to talk a little bit about healing. What is healing? It's a word that we hear a lot in this day and age because so many of us need it. And healing is really, in a sense, finding balance. It's coming back to a place of equilibrium. It's finding peace, if you will, not in illusion, but in reality. And that's easier said than done, right? Because that has to come with a lot of realizations, a lot of self accountability, a lot of understanding how we tick, right? Why do I believe this? Oh, I do believe this, right? It's coming into terms with your own belief systems, not necessarily how you developed it. That's fairly human things. Like I need to know where this came from type thing. You don't need that in order to heal, but depending on who you are as a person, sometimes we think we do. What you really need is to just know, right? To know that this is how I tick, this is who I am, right, wrong, or indifferent. And also understand the judgment that goes with that. And when you can understand your own judgments, that also helps you to learn a new depth of yourself. If I feel something's wrong, right, wrong, good, bad, right? Those are all judgments. Um, and I'm not saying they don't need to exist in this world because they do to some degree, right? But oftentimes when we really sit in those all or nothing type modes of thinking, it's because of attachment to an outcome, attachment to a belief system. And that belief system, and I've talked about this in past videos around beliefs, right? Beliefs are interchangeable, okay? They are more fundamentally deeper for us, so they're harder or more difficult to change, okay? But if you go back to some belief systems you had as a child, right, in fictional characters or things like that, we outgrow those beliefs. Well, you can outgrow any belief system if you think along those terms, okay? Because belief systems, they are founded similar to how our behavioral patterns are founded. If you think of neuroscience, okay, you have your dendrites and your neurons, and they're always looking to make connections. And if we look at developmental psychology, oftentimes that's happening in our first 5 years of life. This is why toddlers are always, what's that? What's that? Why? Right? It's because they have all of these connections looking to be made to help them make sense of their surroundings, right? To build those schemas in their brains so that they don't have to constantly be in mindfulness 24/7. Most of us are not mindful 24/7. I believe there was a statistic I came across one time where the majority of people, and I'm generalizing here, are only mindful about 12% of the time, which means, forgive me with my math, 88%? It's morning. 88% of the time, we're just letting our brains run on automatic pilot. Okay. And this is why it's so important to understand how your brain works, right? because it's through understanding how your brain works that we can trust automatic pilot. You know, you think of these, I've never tried one, but if you think of these self-driving cars, if they're programmed with all the wrong routes, however you say it, I've lived a lot of places. If they're programmed with all these routes, but they're not applicable to you, what's the point? They're probably going to drive you someplace you don't need to be, right? This is what happens a lot of times when we're not being mindful in our own lives. We end up places we don't want to be. We end up in relationships we don't want to be. And when I'm talking relationships, I'm not talking just, you know, like erotic love, like a life partner or things like that. I'm talking about any relationship. There's over 7 billion people on this planet. We don't get through life without relationship, okay? How deep that goes, you know, depends. Depends on the people, depends on where we're at and what we're drawing into ourselves, right? Or whether we're just allowing ourselves to automatically just bang into anywhere. It's like a bumper car fest. So, sorry, I took a turn. Anyway, it's being mindful, being intentional with the energy. And when I say energy, I just mean what we want to feed, what direction we want to go in, how we want to feel. Okay, that's all energy. It is. What energy am I feeding? Where is my intentionality at? How do I want to feel? How do I want to go? Am I moving in attachment or am I moving in connection? What levels of understanding do I have with regards to attachment in my life? All emotion, to switch a little bit, all emotion fundamentally comes down to two: fear and love. Okay. And how we experience those often comes down to attachment, right? Attachment. Am I attached or am I connected? Because at the end of the day, one of the harsh realities we have to come to terms with is that nothing truly belongs to us. Nothing truly. That's attachment. The more you feel attached to the things around you or the people around you, the more fear-based we are of losing. Not losing a game necessarily, but just loss in general. You know, you think of fear, it's the fear of lack of control, the fear of loss, the fear of disappointment, right? Sometimes our attachments aren't even about about people. It's about our belief systems. It's about feeling like I don't understand. It's about feeling, which is a control thing, right? That's fear. That's why it's fear-based. It's the fear of starting over, the fear of not having enough. So it's that fear of lack, right? Lack mentality. Whereas when we come from a place of love and we understand that everyone returns to source, everything, whether in death, because I personally don't truly believe in death. I believe in transition, right? But people that are more fixed energies, that are more attached in what they consider their reality, their belief systems, struggle more with transition. All right. And I'm not talking about wiring of the brain. I'm talking right now strictly in belief systems, not in, there are certain diagnoses that struggle more with transition. If you think of being on the spectrum or ADHD or things of that nature, sometimes they struggle more with transition. And a lot of that, again, comes down to the mindfulness and attachment. But that's another topic for another day. And quite truthfully, I'll probably do an actual video on attachment. This one is more about healing. So it's really coming to those understandings of, what do I believe? Okay. And sometimes we can have an overall belief system on something, but when we're looking at the individual or the micro versus the macro, our belief systems may vary. We're very complex as human beings, and that's not a bad thing. Okay? That's what makes us individual, and that's okay. Embrace that. You are who you are for a reason. You're not broken. You're not a problem. You're not whatever you may think you are, or whatever people may have told you you are, doesn't make it true. Okay? We experience life through our own belief systems. I've always said beliefs are the filter in which we engage our environment through. So if I believe I'm stupid, that's going to have a direct impact on the choices I make. If I believe I'm the problem, or if I believe I'm the one who has to solve the problems, maybe I'm just very compassionate, but I don't have the boundaries yet. So I'm compassionate for everyone except for myself, right? Most people that consider themselves empathic usually struggle with that at some point. It's that setting those boundaries, the boundaries of when do I say no, the boundaries of when do I pull back. And through that process, eventually you get to the place where, out of love, you never have to pull back, but you do have to say no. You know, we can hold space. We can still just be love. Okay. And what I mean by that is, just at your fundamental core, that doesn't mean, and again, this is the thing, this is paying attention to, what do I think that means, right? And how does that impact my choices? Being love doesn't mean you have to make people's problems your own. It just means that you can be validating and hold space for them without having to fix their lives, because we're not anybody's God, okay? We have to be careful when we put people on pedestals, or we try to, it's a disempowerment of ourselves when we do that. Everybody has the strength within them to heal themselves. Yes, you have people like me that are on here maybe giving some guidance, some insight. That's because we're all connected. And that's the piece where we can hold space, right? I can hold space for you because I've been there. I'm still there. I don't know that we ever fully 100% heal completely, because perfection doesn't exist. It's a construct. It's a measurement tool. What's perfect for me right now may not be perfect for me in 5 minutes. It's not a goal. And when we make it a goal, that's attachment. I'm attached to the idea of perfection. I'm attached to the idea of this or that. And then we idealize it, and we create this idealized universe that we strive for, and end up disappointed because it's not based in reality. Based in reality is grounding. It's taking an energy. You know, like if two people only talk on the phone and they talk about this grandiose future that they want to make for each other, or blah, 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 but they don't ground it by actually getting together and start introducing it into your reality. This is the phases of relationship. If we think of lifelong partnerships, right? We ground that energy. Oh, let's open the business together, or let's move in together and start building this life, right? That's grounding. And sometimes it always needs to start within ourselves first. How grounded are you as a human being? How much do you feel you're creating your life in a way that brings you peace? Okay? If we have things in our life that we're so afraid of losing, that's attachment. if we're living in the flow, like this morning, for instance, I could have been really attached to the dream I was having. Or I could have been really attached to the fact that I felt really comfortable with my head on the pillow and said, you know what, I'm not going to come on here and make this video right now. But if I didn't do it right now, would I still have the words later? I don't know. I try to live in the flow. Doesn't mean I always do. Okay. And this is the other thing. When we're attached to the idea of perfection, that leaves no room for mistakes. And mistakes are proof we're trying. We all make mistakes because we're imperfect beings. We're meant to be so. That doesn't give us the free caveat to go out and hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. Healed people help heal people. And when I say help, it's because I can't heal you. Only you can. What I can do is come on here and reassure you, okay, that you have the power within you. That's empowerment. You have the power within you because I've had the power within me. I've come a long way, and I hope I go even further. That's intentionality. That's what I'm trying to ground for myself in life, is that continued growth pattern, the continued peace. And if I can share that with others, then so be it. If for nothing else, then to inspire you to do the same for yourself, because I am no better, nor are you any better than me. Okay? That's life. Let's encourage each other. Healing is coming to terms and peace with the aspects of yourself that you maybe don't even know or have yet to face. And if you don't like what you find, to accept that. Healing is acceptance. Okay? Not approval. Acceptance does not equal approval. If you find that some shadow aspects of yourself or negative attributes or characteristics or whatever you want to call them, it's all the same thing. Synonymous, right? If you find that there are aspects of yourself that you don't like or that it doesn't resonate with your belief systems, and maybe that is your belief system in general. Maybe this belief system, my subconscious belief system, isn't resonating with my conscious belief system, my mindfulness, right? That's dissonance, cognitive dissonance. Maybe my reality isn't what I believed it to be. That's a dissonance. It's very uncomfortable if we're really attached, okay? When we are more in the flow, when we are more in acceptance, and we're able to kind of flow with that and learn and release that attachment, then we make it more about connection and we make it more free-flowing and we're more at peace, okay? But when we find aspects of ourselves that maybe we don't like, in layman's terms, maybe I learned that when I get upset or overwhelmed, I disconnect and I don't want to do anything. Most people, that's a fairly normal response to overwhelm, okay? So if I find that about myself and I don't like that about myself because I realize that that's not productive and that's not helping myself in the long run, well, that's where I have power. I have power to change that. I have power to work on changing that. I have power to transmute that energy. That's all that means. It's being open to changing in such a way that it's going to serve me. And to come to peace with it, not judge it. Not be like, oh, well, that makes me a bad person, or that makes me lazy. Those are all terms. Those are all labels. You don't have to label yourself because you're constantly in flow. If you allow yourself to be, you can change that in such a way where it serves you, okay? So, but we can't do that until we accept that it exists, right? We can't solve a problem until we accept that it exists. And that doesn't mean you yourself are a problem. It doesn't even mean that's a problem. Again, labels. But we can't do anything with it until we see it. And a lot of times, the biggest blockage is we don't want to look in the mirror. We don't want to look at those aspects of ourselves. It's easier to blame. It's easier to project versus to accept and work on it. I'm not the problem. Maybe I got fired from every job I ever had, which I haven't, but I'm just saying. Maybe I did. Well, and every time it was someone else's fault. Was it though? People interplay with each other. We mirror, that's one of our lessons in life that helps us grow. People reflect back to us the energy in which we're showing up in. If that's not working out for me, it's very easy to just blame everybody else versus looking at what am I doing? How am I showing up? What am I putting out into the universe where this is coming back to me in this form? That I keep getting fired, or people basically, that's just rejection 101, right? People are rejecting my energy, if you will, in that scenario. Well, it's only going to keep perpetuating unless we do something about it, unless we work on our energy and how we're showing up. And that comes through awareness, that comes through mindfulness. And we can disconnect neuron connections in our brain and create new ones. That's changing belief systems. That's important work. And I'll get into that more in another video, but I'm already at 22 minutes. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, because I could go on for hours on this, like most of the topics that I talk about, because there is deeper levels of this type of work. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, whether through email or through comments. Although I want you to be discerning as to how much of yourself you share. Okay. But questions, I'm always happy. I'm here to chat. So if you want to chat, let's chat. But never share too much of your inner work with people until there's that level of trust. And relationships of any kind are built slow and steady. Okay. Oftentimes, that's for our own peace of mind. Even in therapy, I always tell people, you're going to make me work for it. You can't just come in and all of a sudden vomit all of your issues right onto me, simply because, not because I can't handle it, but simply because when we overshare too quickly and we don't have that trust yet, we tend to pull back, right? So you gotta slow and steady. So everybody starts someplace. The key is start where you're at and go from there. And if you're not going to ask me, if you're in therapy, ask your therapist. If you're not, or you have a spiritual guru, or you have someone in your life that you talk to, or a book that you want to read that. Always inform yourself. Make your own belief systems, okay? Create yourself the way you want to be, because ultimately only you can. And that's how you show up, not just what you talk about. You got to ground that. You got to ground that in actual tangible choices. Okay? All right. Again, I apologize. I haven't washed up or anything. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Any questions, again, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'm wishing you all the best. Holding space for all of you from a place of love. And we've got this. There's a lot going on in the world. Don't be attached to it. Just see it. You don't have to judge it, but see it and learn and work on yourself, because that's where healing comes from, is working on yourself and recognizing those signs that something within you needs love. Okay? All right. Have a great day. Bye.